Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal, and this is the latest transfer news. Without wasting time at all, let's get straight into it, and let's start with Joao Neves. Now, this is a name that has emerged the last couple of weeks, and today Fabrizio Romano just confirmed, not on an Arsenal channel, but an actually Man United channel, but he has confirmed that Arsenal actually did send scout to watch Joao Neves. So this is what he had to say on the United stand. Arsenal have sent their scouts multiple times recently to follow Joao Neves. There's a big interest in him. So this is a player we're definitely linked to right now. It's looking very, very likely that you're going to sign a midfielder. We were thinking, obviously, you're going to get a goalkeeper, maybe a striker, and we didn't know which other positions like at 10 they do want. Is it the midfielder? Do they want a winger? Do they want a left back? Personally, as a fan, I want a wing, I want a striker, and I want a midfielder. I'm not necessarily keen on getting a defender. I feel like our 7 defenders can do the job if all of them are fit, but it looks likely that we are going to sign potentially a left back and also a central midfielder and a striker. So the winger thing, we're still not sure if that is going to happen. We have to wait and see. Obviously, Jesus might end up as the winger next season. We have Trossard, Martinelli, Saka. I don't know the plans with that. We don't know if Nelson is going to be here next season. We don't know the plans with that. But central midfield is a position we are definitely looking at, and Joao Neves is the latest name. Now, he is pretty young. He's only 19 years of age, but he's already won the league title with Benfica. He's already played 55 matches for Benfica, so he has a lot of experience there. And he has a lot of strengths for a young player in that midfield. There's a lot of strengths. The best of his strengths, when I was watching his highlights and reading from Benfica fans and all that, he's very good in terms of aerial duels in midfield and winning the ball back and retaining the ball. And midfield is a very, very important position. Now, we have Rice, Jorginho, Partey, who can all play there, and all of them have their qualities. Rice, in terms of tackles and interceptions, I don't think there's anyone better than Rice. That last game against Everton, there's an interception he made. I was just mind blown with how Rice is very quick to read the game. He has that. He can carry the ball as well, pushing forward. He can score goals and get assists, as we've seen this season. But it looks like we're going to use him more as a number 8 than a number 6. Jorginho has his qualities as well. His passing technique is really good. His experience in that midfield, and he's a player who's just going to sit in that midfield and protect the defense and distribute the ball well. Jorginho, that is part of his quality. Partey, we know in terms of collecting the ball from the goalkeeper and from the defenders and turning and driving us forward in terms of passing and quick passes and quick movement. He's very good in terms of getting away from tight spaces, but is very good at that. Now, if he had all of that in one midfielder, that would be crazy. Joao Neves is very good for in terms of getting out of tight spaces in the midfield and retaining the ball, which is very important in the midfield. You don't want to be losing the ball there. And if you have a midfielder who can retain the ball, the way you have the likes of Jorginho, adding another extra one, a younger one as well, that takes us to the next level. You want a player who's going to, when maybe on your 1-0 up and you need to retain position against like a Man City, you have a player like that who's not too wide and too concerned about losing the ball. They're able to stay with the ball for 5-10 seconds, win a free kick for you, take away the pressure, and Joao Neves is pretty good at that. And deals, deals is very important to Mikel Arteta in our team. We love players who can win deals, and that's one of the main things that Havertz brings to the team, and that's one of the main reasons as well. I feel like Jesus needs to stay at Arsenal in terms of fighting for the ball and getting involved in the game. I don't think there's a game where you'll ever watch and say today Jesus was quiet. It's very rare because he always comes back to midfield. He gets the ball, he fights for the ball, and aerial duels is also very important for us in that midfield. Anyone who's going to since we dominate position and you control most of the games, teams sometimes have to long ball it for us and try and score against us. And if you have Saliba, Gabriel, and midfielders who can win headers, important. And we're also very strong in terms of set pieces, defending them and scoring them. So adding an extra layer to what we already have would be great. Now, more on Joao Neves. He has been called up to the Euros team for Portugal. So if you haven't signed him by then, or if that situation is still going on, we'll have a chance of watching him. I don't think he's a starter for Portugal yet. There are the likes of Bruno Fernandes in that midfield, so I don't think he's a starter yet. Palhinha is there as well, but he has been called up, so we might get to see him at the Euros and see how he performs. But in terms of experience, 19 years of age, he's played a lot of games. They already won the Bundesliga, the title with Benfica. I think it's called is it the Primeira Liga for Portugal? I think that's the name. And I do like his qualities. Obviously, you're not going to. I usually don't like just watching 5 minute clips and saying, okay, this is this and that is absolutely fantastic. No, I prefer like watching more games of him live and making my judgment after that. In terms of where he plays, he has played this past season. He's played 41 games as a defensive midfielder, and he's played 9 games as central midfielder. So he's going to operate that Jorginho Partey role and sometimes that Rice role. So it's going to be very interesting if you actually end up getting him. His market value right now is 45 million euros. I don't know if that is what Benfica are going to ask for, or they're going to ask for more. I think that is around 38 to 40 million pounds, around that. I don't know if that is what they're going to ask for, but for that kind of price, it's not easy to get a very good player for that kind of price. So if a very good player becomes available for that price, you take them right away. And in terms of, we don't really have to pay too much money to get our players. Most of our players have not been really expensive. Gabriel was around, was it 28, 30 million or something, maybe even less. Saliba's around the same. Odegaard was 30 million. Ben White was one. Ben White and Rice are the ones who are expensive. People say the English tax and all that. But you look at Trey as well, just around 28 to 30 million, maybe even less. Look at players like Trossard, 20 something million, Martinelli, around 10 million. Like most of our players are very cheap and they're doing the job for us. So I cannot complain at all. So if a player becomes available and it's going to cost 40 million, 50 million, you can get them. Now, what does this mean for players like Partey? Jorginho's already signed a new contract. Rice is going to be here. So is it, if you sign Joao Neves, does it mean you're going to have Rice, Partey, Jorginho, Neves, all of them in that midfield? Joao Neves has also played a few games at right wing, but that is not his strength unless you're trying to like defend a lead or something. You can have him a right wing, or in terms of protecting the right back or whatever. That's when you can play in there. How does this affect Partey? Could this be a replacement for Partey, a younger replacement for Partey, or are we going to have all 4 of them in the team? Ideally, you want all 4 of them in the team because, a lot of games next season in the Champions League. Next season, I want us to go farther in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup. I know we can do it. We have the squad to do it. Go farther in those competitions, more game time for most of the players as well. Premier League is there again. We need to target 90 plus points. So a lot of games, and you'll need rotation, and injuries can happen to anyone. We were lucky this one in terms of Gabriel, Saliba, and the likes of Rice not picking up injuries and suspensions and all that. But you never know. Next season, you might have a game where Declan Rice misses 2 games because of a suspension. You never know. So you need players to come on off the bench and help you out. Another one who has left is Elneny as well. So in terms of midfield options, those really the only ones that you have. And if you sign Joao Neves, does this also mean that you're not going to go for Zubimendi, or we might actually end up going for Zubimendi and not Joao Neves? We have to wait and see. So he has a contract up until 2028 with Benfica. He only started playing like in 2022, right after the World Cup. So not that long ago. But let's see how this one develops. If it gets more like close and stuff, we'll just keep on breaking down what you can do for us and all that. But Joao Neves is looking like the biggest link right now, and we were told that I think it was this that I say is looking for a central midfielder. We are looking for a striker midfielder and a left back, so maybe Joao Neves is the midfielder. So let's wait and see. Next up, let's there's not been too many updates about the striker situation. Just this one from yesterday and also today morning. Independent also reported that Arsenal want to sign a striker before their preseason tour. We covered this on yesterday's video with Isaac and Broby as well. Those are the ones at the top of our list. But there's still some sources that are reporting it's Broby. Some sources are reporting it's Isaac. Arsenal are going to try and get that deal done. Other sources are still reporting Gyökeres is still part of the deal. I think the one that is completely over, I think it's Tony, but all the others could still happen. Sesko, Gyökeres, Broby. Isaac, I'd like it to happen, but I'm not sure about the money, and I'm not sure Newcastle want to sell him. So that would be a very difficult deal to do. So the realistic ones, I'd say Sesko, Broby, and Gyökeres. Although Gyökeres would also be expensive, that is a possibility. We are trying to sign these players before like very early in the transfer window, but some of them will be playing at the Euros. Most of the players are the Euros in Copa America, so it might be difficult to get some deals done unless the teams are not at the Euros. Like Isaac will not be at the Euros, and Gyökeres will not be at the Euros because Sweden did not qualify. So some of those could be easier to get done, and then they can get to train with the team. But again, remember, some of our players will also be out up until July. The likes of Saka will be with England, Raya will be with Spain, Ramsey will be with England, Rice will be with England, and a lot of other players, Saliba with France, and many others. Copa America, Gabriel and Martinelli have both been picked. I don't know if Gabriel is going to go and play, because the last saw him with a sling because he got injured in the last game. Let's wait and see it. But it's going to be difficult to get deals done early, but that is what Ateta wants, as I explained yesterday. Mikel Arteta has already long started work on plans for next season in order to complete what they hope is a title-winning team, and wants to bring in 3 first-team level players, a striker, midfielder, a left back, and a left back. So we want to get those deals done early. The last couple of seasons, I think even back to 2021, we got deals done early, especially last season. Rice came in early. Havertz was in early. Timber as well around July, and then Raya was the last signing after the season had started. But if you go back to the previous season as well, the likes of Vieira signing was very early as well, I remember. And even if you go back to 2021, Lokong and Tavares were early deals, so we can get it done right now. Speaking of 2021 and the deals we got done, let's talk about Tavares. What's the latest on Tavares? Will he be here next season? Will Nottingham Forest sign him on a permanent deal? Will he loan him out again? Who knows, man? There's still a lot of players need to decide on. Tavares, Lokonga, Tierney, and many others. This was what was reported the other day in terms of players who might end up leaving. Adding Ketia, Smith Rowe, Tierney, Tavares, Lokonga, Reece Nelson, and I almost said Arteta. Arteta is not going anywhere. And Ramsdale, Ryan Taylor Sport reported that those 7 players are on the transfer list. Now, looks like Nottingham Forest aren't really impressed by Tavares. Nottingham Forest are a weird team. They signed too many players. They signed too many goalkeepers. They sell too many players at the same time. Like right now, they've sent back like 5-6 players to their teams. Montiel has gone back to Sevilla. They've sent a lot of others, including Tavares, back to Arsenal. So this is the latest news on Tavares. Nuno Tavares will return to Arsenal after Nottingham Forest decided not to activate their buy option for the player. I think I saw some. I think if I remember correctly, the buy option could have been something like, is it 12 to 15 million, something like that. Like if they were impressed with him, they would have gotten around 15 million for Tavares, but didn't have a great time there. Didn't even really play at all. So I don't know if that is because he's not really good and they've not considered him as an option. I know Aina's been playing good as a left back there. But also Nottingham Forest, they buy a lot of players who never play. Like Origi was there on loan as well, is another one who's leaving and he never really plays. So they have so many players, but they'll never play. But we already know that Tavares, in terms of Arsenal, it would be an absolute miracle. If Tavares ended up coming back and playing for Arsenal, that would be an absolute miracle. There was a time, but you can say that, but also there's a time I felt like Saliba coming back to play for Arsenal was a miracle, because he was already out of 3 loan spells, didn't really look like he was getting along with Arteta. But right now it's becoming, a core component of our team. Is playing every single game and playing every single minute. But for Tavares, but the quality was there for Tavares. I don't know I don't think it takes us to the next level. I'm sure if I was to ask most of you don't like Zinchenko, would you prefer keeping Zinchenko, getting Tavares back? I would like to know the answer to that. Would you prefer keeping Zinchenko or bringing back Tavares and selling Zinchenko? What would you do? For me, that is very easy. I already want Zinchenko to stay anyway. Zinchenko would be my option. The good thing with the players like Tavares and Lokonga, I say this back when you signed them in 2021, they are very young, so if it doesn't work out, you can always try to get rid of him. But in terms of money and getting enough money for him, I don't think you're going to get enough money for someone like Tavares. You might have to loan him out again. I remember he went to Marseille a couple of years ago. If we can get like the same money you got for, or we bought him for, if you can get around even 10, 12 million, I'd sell him very quickly. But I doubt you're going to get that kind of money. I doubt he's going to stay at Arsenal, because you're already looking for a left back. And on top of that, you already have Tomiyasu who can play there, Kivia who can play there, Zinchenko can play there, Timbo can play there. So there's no space for someone like Tavares to come back to us, so unfortunately. And we also need to keep on improving the squad. They can't go backwards. That's why when I hear Arsenal is linked to Chesney, I'm like, nah, we can't go backwards. We have to keep on pushing forward. Forget about what we left behind. Let's keep pushing forward. Let's keep taking it to the next level. If you want to upgrade on Havertz, if you want to replace Havertz from the first team, you have to get a very good upgrade. If you want to, Martinelli to be on the bench next season and Trossard, you have to get a very good upgrade. I don't want like players who are similar or players a little bit lower. If there's no player to improve that particular position, you can continue looking and maybe give it a little bit of time. But for now, Tavares, for me, I don't think if it's at Arsenal, and that is a player we'll be trying to look into sell with Lokonga as well. And but he's back at Arsenal. He's back at Arsenal. We're also expecting the likes of Lokonga to come back. Let's see what happens with them. So that's the latest in terms of the transfer news today. We expect this window is going to be very interesting. You know, those 7 players who've been put on that list of players who might depart. We don't know the futures of Zinchenko, Jesus, Partey, Vieira. It's going to be a busy one, man. I feel like we're going to have a couple of surprise movements in terms of outgoings, maybe a couple of surprise signings as well that we didn't expect, like a team that came out of nowhere. Let's see what happens, man. Let's see what happens. Let me know what you make of all that. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.